Bird Wyverns, the bottom of the food chain in the Monster Hunter series, will often hunt in packs in order to obtain prey or drive out predators. Now, this is the third video I do on the Bird Wyverns series and the final one. That is, until Stories 4 comes out. If you have not watched the previous two runs I did on these monster chirpers, I will leave a link to my Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2 runs. As usual, the script is written at the same time I progress through the story, so I have no idea what to expect while typing these words. The rules are as follow. Only Monsties and equipment from the Bird Wyvern family. No items in battle except for paint bombs. No duplicate Monsties. Unless forced to by the story, I can only use field skills from Bird Wyverns. I cannot fight feral monsters or advance the story with meals active. I realize the wording is unusual. This is because some main and side quests have me eat food, so instead of standing there waiting out the timer, I decided that I would simply halt story progression while meals are active. No side stories. This is to make allies, which are mandatory, as unreliable as possible, since doing side stories give them more equipment, Monsties and skills. No changing a Monsties element. The goal is to keep Monsties as close to their base as possible. I could easily win without any challenge if I created a vampire build Garuga. Starting the run, I create my character with my lucky Mizutsune hair and speed through the introduction to arrive at the tutorial. As usual, the tutorial has me break a few rules, though not in the first fight. At no point do you need to use Rafa to attack, but outside of battle, I have to use a Tobikata cheat to climb a tower and Rafa to use Fireball attack. I'm surprised they don't let Kut-Ku do, as it can also use a fireball attack, as you can see. Still, at least Kut-Ku allows us to still jump over the small ridges that would require Toby. After defeating a tutorial Paolumu, we are faced with the first boss and feral monster, Chatacabra, a very easy monster with the annoying access to paralysis. Otherwise, he's easy. Break the crystals to weaken him, then pick his ass to death. Now, free from the tutorial, I remove Toby, but can't remove Rafa, unfortunately. Also, expect me to only mention side quests if they have anything interesting happening, as otherwise the video would last until the death of the next universe. Collecting all of the Bird Wyvern eggs available in Arzuria, I return to the castle and add to my party Velocidrum, Blue Kut-Ku, Gypsyros, and Purple Gypsyros. Later I will aim to avoid multiple members of the same species, but right now I'm limited. I then create the Azure Serpent Blade and Kut-Ku armor as starter equipment. Now, given there are a lot of Bird Wyvern equipment, I will only mention what I use or create when it is relevant. Otherwise, like with side quests, the multiverse will end before this video does. With my party, we face the battle-bound Glavenus. It is still early, so there's no real challenge yet. We simply focus on using as many double attacks as possible and dealing as high damage as possible. Perolian Kut-Ku is next. While it is not a hard encounter, it does hit hard enough it caught me once due to my poor armor. But it was a first try nonetheless. As long as you remember, Yen uses technique when calm and speed when mad. With this, we set up camp and have Eleanor cook for us. Now, I did select the XP meal, but due to my rule, I will have to wait for it to run out while collecting materials and eggs in the meantime. After waiting for the food to run out, I charge Garuga with my Kut-Ku. Finally, Kut-Ku shall have his revenge for all the times Garuga pursued it, breaking its leg and forcing the invasive monster to flee. We take the Raffian egg from the nest and bring it to hatch. Now, this egg might not be a bird wyvern, but it will be one of the most important pieces of this run. You will soon understand why. For now, the first and only step I can do is to increase all Raffian variations to S rank. I also took the opportunity to increase all bird wyverns to S rank. Before continuing the story, I decided to attempt the feral monsters of the region. First is Paolumu. Not a hard fight at all, not a single card. I simply crushed him with my Kut-Ku by using power when calm, technique when afloat, and picking him to death. The first attempt against Nursula ended poorly as it managed to knock me off my Gypsyros and put me to sleep too many times. The second attempt was no better. Even with weapons abusing its weaknesses and armor to resist fire attacks, right now the main issue is its many AoE attacks and sleep ailment causing me to carp. To make it possible at this level without items would require crazy RNG. We'll be trying again later. Returning to the main story, we then face the feral Velocidrome duo. While not a hard fight due to our current lack of healing, I was carded twice. Though one of these times could have been avoided if I had changed Monstie before they carded Velocidrome. The fight is immediately followed by one against a feral Gypsyros. An even easier fight as I started with full kinship, allowing me to jump on Velocidrome's back and break his crystal using my rapid bite. Made even easier by the fact he mainly focused Simon and left me alone most of the time, except to spit venom on me, but being in riding mode, I was immune to status effects. Having unlocked channeling, I gave a few new skills to Velocidrome. For now, he will be the only one to have new genes, as 2 little slots are free on the others. After Vermeil cut through the wall with their Glavenus, we have to fight a pair of battle-bound Glavenus. The fight is no different than before, but now there are 2. They did manage to cart me once, but quickly climb on my Kut-Ku and use the AoE attack it naturally came with to defeat them, causing them to stumble again and again, because that's what Kut-Ku is good at, being annoying. Blocking our way to the next area is the Scourge of Camera, Magnamalo. The beast was fierce with its many AoE attacks, guarding me 3 times in total. Luckily, Eleanor remembered to heal one of my hearts. My technique was as follows. Use technique when calm, when aflame use speed, and when fully enraged, use power. Climb on your Monstie ASAP, and if he is not clearly targeting anyone, use your gun lens to protect yourself. Before proceeding with the next area, I collect the eggs of all the new Bird Wyverns, namely Gritizuchi, Aknosum, Puke-Puke, and Yangaruga. I then replace Kut-Ku with Aknosum and Purple Gypsaros with Gritizuchi. And finally, I free my Yangarugas in the same area the Raffians reside in, giving me access to Deadeye Yangaruga. The final culmination of my plan has started after obtaining the Raffian egg, and why I increase all of them to S rank. And now, after having replaced my last Kut-Ku, here he is, the Elder Dragon Pecker himself. The scourge of eyeballs all over the world. The one Bird Wyvern so fucking angry that itself ran away as he pursued the Grim Reaper with its own scythe. One eye. And my main Monstie for this run, Feral Somnicanth, was a rather easy fight. Use power when calm, and when he stands on his tail, use technique. Though it did cart me twice by putting me to sleep before releasing an AoE, I did get the Oni power from Arzuros for my one eye, but I will need to get proper healing abilities very soon. This is followed up by a feral Gritizuchi right after. The fight is similar to a Velocidrome. Tech when calm, speed when mad, be careful with the ads, use as many AoE skills as you can, break the crystal since it is feral, and use your kinship skill to finish it and make its carcass too toxic for any creature foolish enough to eat it. The invasive Arceus stood no chance, especially given how One Eye spent so much energy being this pissed off at everything. He needs a sugar fix to keep up the anger. And there's not a single fucking grinder enthusiast who's going to keep him away from his fix. The Dragon Picker does not care who you love and how many of them there are. Just quit hoarding the honey. After One Eye had his fix, we head to the next boss, but need to dig underground to do so, forcing us to use a Palamute twice. All of this to find an ice feral Acnosome. I cave its stupid face in to get the crystals, then juggling between power when it is calm and speed when it opens its crest. We show how toxic One Eye is by using the kinship skill twice, just so he doesn't come back to get his stupid crystals back. Having unlocked the excursions, I take a moment to gather Deadeyes and free them in the Timberland to S-rank before sending One Eye on excursions to Azuria and the Timberland to get powers, focusing on head-to-head and stamina regeneration. Also taking the passive stamina recovery from the Timberland, as I learned from my Rafts run how important stamina regen is. With this, I am now faced with the giant floating frog, Yamatsukami. The fight was long but easy. I rode on One Eye's back ASAP and spam Pickaxe Peak, a dragon speed attack that Deadeye comes with. And being an Elder Dragon, Yama is obviously weak to dragon, making it a no-brainer. After being separated, we are forced to face an Almudron alone. The monster has a very easy pattern: power when calm, technique when mad, and if the mud piles are not destroyed on time, he will create a mud ball and use speed attacks. Other than its tendency to use typeless attack, it has no way of carding. Arriving in the desert, I fly straight to the nearest den to retrieve the final party member of this run, Kulu-Ya-Ku. I also took the freedom of getting myself an Espina and Glavenus for their genes. Here are One Eyes and Gipsaros' stat and genes. Right now, I do not know who I will use for my final party outside of these two, so I did not modify the others. Feral and Jarakan follows and proves even easier, winning without even a single card. First, I rolled one eye ASAP before targeting his arms after he got mad, hoping to destroy them and then focusing on pecking him until the end, where I finished it using a kinship skill, to which it died to its poison. Ragnarkedeki followed, but I was far too low level on my first attempt. I would fall far too fast to its unblockable attacks. I went and defeated two feral monsters I knew I could easily defeat for easy EXP. Before returning to Ragnarkedeki for my second attempt, I could finally survive a few more attacks and even force a phase shift, but it proved to still be hitting too hard. Even the ads dealt pretty high damage still, especially whenever it used its bubble attack, which is One Eye's highest weakness. After this defeat, I went and fought the feral Tobikedachi. The fight itself is of no importance, as it was easy. No, the important part is that I got a new neutral area to free a Raffian Sakurai to get the Nature Heal gene from her and gave One Eye, finally unlocking a proper healing move. I also took the liberty to handle the feral Bishaten as I was in the area hunting for more eggs. The only card was from Badaranji when he used a Fruit Frenzy where most if not all of the attacks hit my rider. Also, I could raise these Bird Wyverns to S rank in this area, returning now level 38 with one new battle ready member, Great Izuchi. Finally, third attempt was the one where I crushed that annoying spider for good. Ragnarkedeki is resistant to fire and uses fire and water elements. As stated previously, water is One Eye's highest weakness, but unfortunately he is also the best for this fight given Ragnar's main element is fire, his highest resistance, which is required due to the ads and Ragnar itself often using fire attacks. The technique was as follows. I would break its webbed legs, then target its crystals using mainly status effect due to its own resistance to fire. This was the best way to inflict damage. I used Gol as my ally due to his highest element usage, Ragnar's highest weakness. Once the crystals are broken, its water element moves are weakened, allowing me to focus on actually dealing damage instead with my statuses. In the end, though it is resistant to fire, One Eye's infernal breath took it out. Rado was a stressful battle. For this one, I primarily used Gypsaros for its eye thunder resistances. Though one eye also had acceptable resistance, they are not as high. For this fight, I knew I could never break its parts before it would fire its ray gun, so I focused on destroying its head while being atop Gypsaros as much as I could. I had to switch once to one eye so Gypsaros would recover stamina but quickly switch back. Once the head was broken, it weakened its main threat, allowing me to cruise to victory through poisons, paralysis, and one final kinship skill. Pearl Black Gonga follows this, preventing the creation of a camp in these icy wastelands. Too bad for him, One Eye hates the cold as much as I do, and he is in the mood for a deadly picking. First I ride him ASAP so the AoE attacks are less effective. Then I focus on the crystals, powering its thunder moves. He does cart One Eye once and knock me off, but once we destroy the crystal, the threat is ultimately gone. And as a note, I could have used Korra or Eleanor to make this fight easier, but forgot to change my ally. The Abominable Snow Bear is next. The first two attempts were done with Yangaruga's armor, though it is weak to frost. It is my best armor by far, but seeing I am taking too much damage, I changed to my Kulu-Ya-Ku's armor for its frost resistances. But it is still not enough given the sheer amount of damage Gosarag deals with its neutral AoEs. I will need to level up and come back later. After having raised a Kulu-Ya-Ku specifically for this fight, here are my party stats. I do not show Agnosum as it is not battle ready. After 3 attempts with Kulu, I came to the horrible realization that while he has good ice resistances, his defense stats was too low to resist and would lead him to be knocked down instead. My fourth attempt was the winning one. Instead of using Kulu, I switched to my one eye who had much better defensive stat even though he's weak to ice. Ironically, I would aim to climb on his back ASAP and then use status effects when he targeted Eleanor, heals if needed when he would unleash a big hit, and counter using speed when he is calm, power when he's used his ice hammers, and technique for the ice blades. Now, the most astute of you might have noticed the fight on screen does not resemble what I described or have a boss health bar. That's because I thought I had pressed the record button, but actually did not. So I recorded a roaming Gosserag instead, even the last save was very far away. This time, making sure my program is recording, I enter the Sacrosanctum to fight Malzeno. Knowing what to expect and how much this Elder Dragon hates the dragon element, I have one eye out. Though he is also weak to dragon himself, backing him using Pickaxe Beak. I would keep myself alive using his healing abilities, all while acquiring kinship to ride him. I was lucky as the dragon would often be paralyzed right before a big attack, allowing me to win on the first try with a combo of double kinship followed by melting his face off with one eye's fire breath. Argyle's first attempt showed me that it will be a difficult fight if I do not use Rafa's fireball, but I do want to see if it is possible to win without ever letting Rafa out for this fight. So I will go level up and come back later. Anyway, I will need a lot more level for what is coming soon. Of course, my first thought was to get Savage Fireball from another Raffles, but as you can see, also I realized I was in the wrong about Kulu being resistant to ice. I guess blindly trusting the armor was not the right move. Now, back after defeating a few more feral monsters and increasing my level to 58, here are my stats. Upon my second attempt after returning, I defeat Argveld without ever using Rafa. Though it made it annoying as the cutscene would keep repeating, but it is possible. The first attempt was purely bad RNG, but attempt 2 was the complete opposite as I had nearly perfect RNG. Ogden would give me regeneration so good I barely needed to heal. His Monstie would keep blinding Argveld, causing him to miss most attacks only to finish perfectly with a kinship from one eye. The next fight is our first encounter with Aishin, and it felt like pushing a wheelchair user down a flight of stairs. Poor thing could barely defend itself given how over-leveled I was compared to it. I completely ignored the warning label saying not to touch these crystals. I will let the Azure Raft right away, but I expect to be too low a level for it. After a single attempt, it is very clear that I will need a few levels. I could last until he got enraged, but from there my damage dropped so much and he easily can knock me off one eye, even though he is resistant to fire attacks. The first step is to get much better stamina regeneration, so I defeat Feral Espina, an easy fight at this point in the game, marking the final feral monster of the Timberland, allowing me to go on expeditions for 3 stars of stamina regeneration. I also decided to take care of the feral Glavenus for EXP. Feeling I might need some dragon defenses in the later fight, I fight the invasive Serigios for the dragon defense for getting Astalos' ecological rank to S. Level 70, I return to the Zorafalos hoping I can deal more damage now. For this fight, I specifically used Ogden as my ally for his bonuses to regeneration, which make my one eye near immortal. My first goal for this fight was to ride my Monstie ASCP as to avoid the blast black he applies when mad. From there, I would leave most of my healing to my monstrous regeneration and focus on attack, healing only occasionally between attacks to prevent being knocked off. In total, I counted Ogden being down a total of at least 3 times while I was only carded once before riding and never knocked off. Battlebound Lunagiron follows, and while I deal more damage, so does he. But this also ensured the fight was not another long 10+ minute fight at least. He would have been a lot more dangerous if all of his attacks were ice, but no. The fool who raised this Monstie did not understand the importance of bingo, allowing for an easy victory while he spammed random moves. Aishin 2 was a fourth attempt. After figuring out I would need to start switching between my Bird Wyverns to stand a chance. Use the gun lances blocking to have my character resist whenever I suspected a big hit was coming. Now, I was wrong a few times and took a total of 3 cards, but won in the end. Now, if my Rathalos run in this fight showed me is that I am not ready for the final boss, I will go level up right now as to not waste your time with pointless attempts I know will fail. With my one eye now level 80, I feel comfortable enough to attempt the final boss. Final Asian is next, and even at level 80, this fight took me 3 attempts. Attempt 1 and 2 had the same mistake. I would not increase one eye's kinship, leading me to losing, as I tried increasing my other Monsties first, meaning I could not run my main Monstie when in danger. On my final attempt, I raised one eye's kinship to maximum before raising the others. In the end, I could only raise Kulu-Ya-Ku's before being forced to ride one eye. From there, I focused on destroying the ad crystals and weaken the crystals on Aishin, always aiming for the strongest and trying to avoid breaking them too soon. At the end, I started spamming my AoE Fire Blast to destroy the ads, but destroy Aishin's crystals too, leading to the final phase where I focused so much on attack I was eventually knocked off before I could use my kinship, but it did not stop me. I pulled out Kulu-Ya-Ku and used its kinship before finishing with my one eye.
ったか。さすが。アエルシンはもう限界だ。
任せた。行こうか。
大丈夫か。
ありがとう。決める。見たか。絆の力。頼んだ。よし。神格を制した。私とアイシャで出るわ。ここでトガを生産する。力を貸して。攻め時です。これで決める。
任せてもらう。
With this ends the Bird Wyvern saga, proving that yes, even the bottom of the food chain could actually accomplish saving the world by pecking these elder fuckers to death. But this is not the end of my challenges on these games, as I have many ideas for their thematic, such as the next run, Arachnids only. With this, I will now end the video here. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment and subscribe. This helps my channel and helps motivate me make more videos.